Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. And on this day, just a beautiful day, by the way, where I am at the moment. It's cool, but pretty crisp and sunny. Absolutely beautiful time of the year here. Anyway, on this day, a couple to get through today, or a few to get through. Back in 1984, in Tokyo, Japan, Mexican Gabriel Bernal knocked out Koji Kobayashi in the second round to win the WBC flyweight title. In 1980, I'll get this one in a sec, 1994, in Las Vegas. Where was it? Oh, Tracy Patterson. Actually, it wasn't in Las Vegas. It was in Reno, Nevada. Tracy Patterson defeated Richard Duran on points to defend his WBC Super Bantamweight title. In 1994, in Norfolk, Virginia, the great Pernell Whitaker defeated Puerto Rican Santos Cardona by decision for the WBC welterweight title. 2005, Marco Antonio Barrera knocked out South African Mzonke Feiner in the second round in El Paso, Texas. In this fight, the WBC Super Featherweight title was at stake. And then the other one I was going to mention, 1988, the great Evander, the real deal, Holyfield defended or unified the world cruiserweight title. I think he was the first one to do it with an 8th round stoppage of Carlos de Leon, who was a fantastic fighter as well and had made numerous defences of the WBC title up until that point. But as the real deal always did, always wanted to fight the best and beat the best. And as I said, he defeated Carlos de Leon by 8th round stoppage. Some news in the last sort of 24 hours. I have to write it down these days because there's so much going on. But, well, the first one, actually, is not that much today. I don't really need to write it down, but I will. I'll keep looking at it just in case I don't forget anything. First of all, looks like George Kambosos will fight Richardson Hitchens on June 14th in Madison Square Garden, or at Madison Square Garden in New York. Fantastic outcome for George. And if you haven't noticed in the last few days, I think I read out his Facebook post yesterday, been a little bit spicy. It's almost like we're getting back to the old George. And I think he needs to get back to that old George. I think I commented to someone the other day about it, and they agreed. And if you look back to when he fought Teofimo Lopez, he was the front, in your face, cocky, maybe you could put in there arrogant, whatever you want to put in there, but he was just in their face and let's go. And I think he used it to build himself up and get him into the fight. He really got into Teofimo Lopez's head, didn't he? And I think more than helped him win that fight. So I just think we saw it a little bit in the Devin Haney lead up in his first defence. You remember at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, he rolled up to the press conference, and he had all the belts on and the flush suit and the sunglasses, and probably tried that little, the same persona, but didn't really hit it this time, probably because Devin Haney, he wasn't there, and Haney at that stage wasn't sort of engaging in this sort of stuff, and it fell a bit flat. I've just got a feeling, especially after he got humbled, so I won't say badly, but he got humbled pretty easily by Devin Haney in that first fight. The persona sort of dropped away to some extent. And in the second fight, he was still George Kambosos. I don't know about you. I just thought that it was a little bit manufactured, and the confidence, that self-confidence he had in those couple of earlier fights had sort of gone. Obviously, he'd been beaten badly by Devin, so you can't sort of blame him for being a little bit, well, will I or won't I go ahead with that same attitude? And I think it just sort of told in that whole fight. And then it was hard against Maxie Hughes, the fight after that, because Maxie Hughes, I don't think I really heard him sort of say a lot at all, and it was really hard for George to have a dance partner in the Trash Talk Stakes. And then Vasily Lomachenko, well, we're never even going to get a bad word from Loma. He's just a very respectful type of guy, does all his fighting in the ring. And I just don't think that, again, George Kambosos had the opportunity to really get himself up, because he's just that type of fighter who needs some aggro in the lead up. I think it's when he fights the best. Then in the last fight, of course, poor old Duard Jordan. I don't think they ever faced off, did they? And then Jake Wiley comes in, and Jake Wiley was such a respectful young kid. Again, really hard for George to get up. Late replacement, unknown kid, supposed to win easily. But this fight with Richardson Hitchens, this is the fight I'm hoping we see the old George Kambosos, the one that beat Teofimo Lopez. Now, regardless of whether he's good enough to win or he's past it or never was good enough, which is bullshit because he beat Teofimo Lopez, but there are some critics out there that say that. I'm just hoping that we see that George, because so far, even in the limited time, we've had a sort of little bit of a build-up about this fight. It's been pretty spiteful, and I think he's going to have the ideal guy to try and get back to that 2021 George, when he was just something else. And if you look at the lead up to the Teofimo Lopez fight, he got in Teofimo Lopez's head. He really did. Watch him by the end of it. I think he thought at the start, when they first started to face off and George was in his face, and really, you look in his eyes, look at George's eyes, you could tell that he meant every word that he said. And Teofimo Lopez at the start was like, yeah, whatever, mate, okay. But by the end of it, you could see Teofimo Lopez just starting to doubt himself and thinking, what is wrong with this guy? This guy's supposed to be nothing. I'm supposed to beat this unknown fighter from Australia, and he's in my face, pretty much challenging me on the spot and every opportunity, even to the point we had the little tussles in the gym, all that sort of stuff with his team and Lopez's team. But what it did do is really, I think, help George get over the line against Lopez and dig deep and make Lopez doubt him and maybe respect him a little bit more. So I think in this fight we're going to see it. And unfortunately, he has to bring it, because Hitchens is a very, very good fighter, and he's going to give George problems. The style I'm still a little bit concerned with, but if George is going to have any chance whatsoever in this fight and bring the belt home, he needs to get back to 2021 George. Forget about all the being a little bit passive and being respectful. Hitchens, as I said, is the perfect guy to bring out the old George. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm trying to say anyway. But it's Madison Square Garden, in the small room, you would think, again, where he fought Lopez. I think George will feel really good going back to Madison Square Garden. Of course, it's the scene of his biggest triumph in his career. And who knows, maybe that will help him as well, really get up for this fight. And it's a good weekend. Now, it's got me thinking about, I wasn't sort of planning anything at the moment about going overseas. I've had a bit on this year and continue to have a bit on. And I was like, yeah, I'm not that stressed. Maybe Canelo Crawford in September might be a good one to sort of try and make happen. But I tell you what, the timing of this fight has really got me sort of thinking about maybe trying to work things out to be able to get over there, because the weekend before is upstate New York in Canastota, the Hall of Fame. We have the great Manny Pacquiao and my all-time favourite pro fighter, Vinny the Pazman Pazienza, being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And it's a weekend that goes from, I think it's the Thursday through to the Sunday, so 4 days. It's unbelievable. I've said on here before, I went back in 2022 for probably the biggest one they've ever had. They had 3 years in one, and the likes of Mayweather and Cotto and Marquez and I think Andre Ward and all these great fighters were inducted, and that was just massive. And I just enjoyed it so much. And well, it won't be as big this time. The fact that Manny Pacquiao being inducted, the Pazman being inducted, and it's only a 45-minute flight, or even I think it's only might just be a 4-hour drive. Actually, I think it might be from Canastota, 4.5 maybe. I think it is from Canastota back to New York. So either way, geez, I'm thinking about maybe trying to get over there for the Hall of Fame weekend and then down to New York for the Kambosos and Hitchens fight, but we'll see. And if you don't know about the Hall of Fame, I think I've said it here a few times, put it on the bucket list. If you're a really big boxing fan, and I'm sure you are if you're watching this channel, to go to Canastota on the Thursday. They do, just a quick rundown, Thursday they do fighter interviews, or not just fighters. They have referees, they have trainers, they have promoters, they have everyone that they interview for about 4 hours on the day on the Thursday, and they just sort of roll them out. You can just sit in the crowd. It's all free, and it's an outside auditorium or a little sort of shelter they've got there out the back of the Hall of Fame. It's a tiny little town, by the way, only about 3,000 people. If you drove past, you'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. And this little sort of pavilion outside they've got, and they just bring as I said, the fighters, promoters, referees, whatever, all day, and you can sit there and listen to them be interviewed, and they sign autographs and give interviews, all that sort of stuff. And then I think on the third, they do a plaster cast session as well. So they get all the inductees up, and they do a plaster cast of their hands that they can put inside the Hall of Fame inside, which is only about the size of a house, by the way. You want to go and have a look. It's not real big, but there's plenty to see. Take it from me. And in that pavilion, by the way, is the ring from Ali Fraser, which I think I said a couple of weeks ago when the anniversary of that came around. Then on the Friday, they do more interviews during the day at the pavilion, meet and greets, all that sort of stuff. And then on Friday night, they do a fight night at a casino, the Turning Point Casino, I think it is, which is about a 15-minute drive away. Saturday, it's at a local high school, and they do a memorabilia day. So they have all what are they, like the playing cards, and they have trunks and robes and gloves and all these sorts of things, comic books or whatever you want, all boxing related. They have there that you can buy and sell, and it's a great day. I bought actually a pair of trunks of Vinny Pazienza when I was there in 2023 that was signed by him, and it's a really good day. I remember actually running into Mauricio Suleiman when I was there. He was just having a bit of a peruse around the hall. It was really good, actually. And then on this Saturday night, they do a banquet dinner. So you can go to, we might go across here, man. Let's go across. We've got a dog coming. Come on, we'll cross the road. Yeah, then on the, come on, man. Come on, let's go. He's digging his heels in today. Yeah, so then on the, Saturday night, it's a banquet dinner where they just do like they have all the inductees there, and well, it is what it is. It's a banquet dinner, and they just get them up and present them, and again, do interviews and all that sort of stuff. And then on the Sunday, they do a parade, so right through the town of Canastona. It's really good. It's one of those outback little American towns, and one of those sort of, go mate, one of those sorts of towns where, they've all got the American flags out the front and the old little wooden double-story houses. And I mean, it's that classic small town USA. It really is. So, and everyone lines the streets with all their chairs like they do for the, like an Easter parade or something. Come here, mate. Get off the road. Come on, off the road. Trucks going past, buses going past. And then after that is the official induction, which is again at the casino about 15 minutes away. So you've got to jump in your car and head down there, and then they do the official presentation of the fighters and everything like that. So it's a really, really good day. So I'm thinking about it. It's a long trip. What is it? It's 14 hours to LA, then it's another, I think, 6 hours to New York, and then the driving and all that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of a trip, but I'm thinking about it anyway. But if you are thinking about it as well, make sure you put it on the bucket list. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. It's a great day. So anyway, that's the week before, and then June 14th is Kambosos and Hitchens, and let's see whether George can get back to where he was. One thing now, just still on Aussie boxing, I saw yesterday, and I thought, well, the rumours were this was dead and buried. It's a Premier Boxing series. Now, this is the Ace Boxing show, or what it is, series that was on 7+ last year. So it looks like it will go ahead just without the TV, and I'm sure they'll get a streaming service or something behind it. So I'm really glad they've persisted, because it's a great concept. Ace Boxing always do great shows. I'm really glad too. I just thought that once they hooked up with No Limit, that maybe this might fall by the wayside, because of course we've got the No Limit on Fox as well. So maybe they would do that in conjunction with them, but no, they're going to continue with it. So I think it's great. And the first ones, and of course it's just gone off my screen here. It's Ben Kelleher, is going to be the first one. There it is. I'll bring it up on my phone here. So it's a double header, Friday and Saturday night. Fantastic idea. On the Friday night is Ben Horn. So he's going to fight Hunter Inouye. That's at the South Bank Piazza, I think it's called. So that's May the 16th. And May the 17th, it is Ben Kelleher. He is up against... jeez, man, jeez. Lost my phone there. Who I say it was? It was Ben Kelleher and Lachlan Duncombe. So I'm not really familiar with Duncombe, but he's going to be fighting on the May the 17th against Ben Kelleher. So a really good concept still going, which is fantastic. So if you're up that way, make sure you check it out. The other news yesterday was, I think I quickly touched on it, Dimitri Bivol had given up his WBC light heavyweight title to pursue that third fight with Artur Beterbiev. So that'll take place in October, I think, and they've literally handed the WBC light heavyweight belt to David Benavides. And I've got to say, I read the statement from Mauricio Suleiman, and I've got to say, he's got a little bit butthurt, did Mauricio Suleiman. Where was it? He wasn't happy. What did he write there? I think I've got it here. Maybe not. I think I had it. Oh, yeah, there it is. So he said, I've just received a cold and impersonal notification from Dimitri Bivol's lawyer, Patrick English, with arguments that are so ridiculous that I'd rather not discuss, informing the WBC that Dimitri Bivol has decided to relinquish the title. We wish Bivol success and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and hereby confirm David Benavides as the world light heavyweight champion. Jesus, it's a little bit rich for the WBC to be getting insulted that a champion has given up their belt because they're being forced to fight someone else. I understand David Benavides is the #1 challenger that has been avoided numerous times. But when you've got the WBC and their antics of just letting fighters have years without defending against #1 challengers and all the other shit they come up with, yeah, it's a little bit rich to have them now having a bit of a whinge because Dimitri Bivol said, well, you can stick your title. You won't work in. Because I think that was the main thing. I think in the letter it said that under this sort of unification sort of criteria or formula that they have with all the sanctioning bodies working in together, it was the IBF's turn to get a mandatory, and they were happy with Beterbiev, and which Mauricio Suleiman said was bullshit. So look, it's all this sort of go around, but at the end of the day, I think it's good on Dimitri Bivol by saying, hey, look, this is the fight that they want. I think he did say he was willing to fight Benavides next, but the WBC wouldn't cop it, and here we are, and we're going to have a vacant belt. Well, not a vacant belt anymore because David Benavides is going to have that belt. So who does he defend it against next? Could we see maybe Conor Wallace get a shot at that title? He's going to have a mandatory first, so you never know. All right, one last thing, guys. I didn't comment on it the other day. Haven't had a chance with so much going on, but Oscar is back. The Clapback Thursday. Well, it's not like a Clapback Thursday anymore. It's like Clapback sort of monthly these days, isn't it? He hasn't been doing it every week, but he says he's been getting the facts. And as he says, you're not a hater if you speak the facts. And it was pretty much a shot at Top Rank this time. Todd DeBuff, or Buff, or however you pronounce it, who runs Top Rank, has been charged with fraud and under all these allegations and all this sort of stuff, and did it behind Bob Arum's back. So Oscar took great pride in saying that because he thinks he's a scumbag. Loves Bob Arum though, but doesn't like Todd DeBuff. And he reckons now that they're losing the ESPN TV rights, or the telecast options with ESPN, that Top Rank are pretty much finished. I got a feeling that DAZN or Netflix or one of these streaming services will pick up Top Rank, so I wouldn't be too stressed about that. But he did say bye-bye Top Rank, but we'll see about that. The other one was Dana White, of course. That was the one we all wanted to hear about. And again, called him a scumbag and really got stuck into Dana. And you can obviously see that they've had their history. But look, you know, I think what he said was sort of correct. He did sort of say that, you know, the best are supposed to fight the best, which is just undoable, I suppose, because the shelf life of fighters will be very short, especially if that's all they're doing is fighting the best after the best. It'll really cut their career short. I'm not sure that's the case, but the money, he said, how can you get Canelo? And the only time he mentioned him in this video, by the way, how would Canelo fight for $750 on a pay-per-view? Because that's the formula. I don't think that'll be the case. I think there'll be some some wriggle room there for the really big guys. And then he said, look, obviously they've got no fighters and they're in it for the long term, and they're waiting for contracts to run out with other promoters before they sort of start to sign them. So they're in it for a long time. Yeah, he does make some really good points, And the fact that Dana White has tried to get into boxing numerous times and it just hasn't worked. I'm sort of with Oscar with this one. I think it's great in theory what Dana White is trying to do, and Turki Al-Sheikh saying, all right, well, I've got Eddie and Oscar and all these guys over on this side. Dana, you can go over that side and make me a UFC sort of replica in the boxing world. I'm still very, very doubtful it's going to work. And I think it'll fall by the wayside at some stage. But either way, boxing will continue on, won't it? It'll always find a way. And then he did, and he didn't actually, as I said, mention Canelo at the end. Normally we get the up yours Canelo at the end of it, but he didn't mention him, so maybe he's moved on. He does look a lot happier, and one thing he did look happy about, if you look at his Instagram this week, he was doing the hyperbaric chamber. Whew, geez, he had the mask on and his face was all red, and I don't know what the hell they do to maintain the looks and the glow and everything else, but when you got that type of money, I suppose you can do that sort of stuff. But the other thing he did was the No Effing Way show as well, where he talked about the Manny Pacquiao fight, and I really like this concept. It's really good because he just talks about his biggest fights, and he did say that during training camp, he didn't want to be there. He was getting beaten up by his sparring partners, and he started to hit the bottle during training camp as well, which he never did. So it was really good to get some insight. And he said in the ring, he was hoping that Pacquiao would just get him in the corner and hit him so hard he'd kill him. He was suffering really bad depression. He'd really struggled to make the weight as well, and he just didn't want to be there. So, and I know it's easy to say, oh, well, you're only saying that because you lost, but I reckon, I do think this does hold a lot of weight. I really do. If you look at Oscar in that fight, that wasn't the Oscar De La Hoya that we've known. I know he was 36 years of age. I know he'd come down in weight, but I reckon what he's saying is actually true in this case. He just didn't look like he cared, didn't look like he even tried. I know Pacquiao was just lightning fast and was beating him to the punch and pretty much pulverising him, but I think Manny would have won anyway, even if Oscar was switched on at that stage of his career. Maybe it would have been a different proposition, 5 or 6 years earlier. But yeah, I actually do agree with Oscar in that fight. Look at his face. He wasn't interested in that fight. He was just waiting, and I don't think he could wait to really just get it over with and get out of there. And that's what happens. And he did say, look, sometimes it's a trap. Just get it off there, mate. With the fame and the looks and the money and all that sort of stuff. And he wasn't coping well at that time in his life. And all things aside, no matter what you think of Oscar and what he's become these days, I'm just glad that he got his life back on track. He looks happy. He's doing great things in boxing. He's obviously making a lot of money. He's doing things on his terms, and I'm glad, because I would have hated for him to go down the track of where he really went off the rails, and who knows what might have happened. So again, regardless of what you think of him, I'm just glad he got back, because I think boxing's better because of it. So tell us your thoughts anyway, guys. Make sure you look out tonight too, by the way, for In Focus, the first show. It's Alexander Usyk. Quick overview of his career, and then we're going to match him up with 10 of the best fighters around his era and see how he would have went as well. We'll try and make it a weekly or fortnightly thing that we do. So guys, have a great day. We'll catch you tomorrow.